Hi, and welcome to another edition of Leading and Growing Your Real Estate Business. Coach James Short here, aka Shorty, and welcome to another episode. I'm excited because we've got a good friend of mine on today. Bruno Calfapietra is a real estate agent from BC Property Agents with 25 years plus of extensive experience in the field. He has a wealth of knowledge about the market nationally and has successfully navigated countless transactions for both buyers and sellers. He has a great reputation for negotiation skills and is well known for his ability to develop a loyal and trusting client base, which we're going to unpack a little bit today. Bruno's success stems from his attention to detail, his commitment to providing outstanding customer service, and his ability to develop strong relationships with clients. He takes on a hands-on approach to every transaction, and he specializes in finding the right property for each and every individual client. He has a knack for understanding exactly what they want and need and working with them to get the best outcome. Bruno is also an expert in navigating complex financing and legal issues, making every transaction as smooth and as stress-free as possible. He has a deep understanding of the market and is quick to recognize changing trends and conditions, ensuring his clients get the best outcome. Bruno is an experienced and reliable real estate agent who is committed to helping his clients achieve their goals. With this extensive knowledge and understanding of the market nationally and his unparalleled negotiation skills, which we're going to talk about in a minute, he is a great choice for those looking for a reliable and a successful real estate agent and buyer's agent. It is an honor and privilege, good friend, character, amazing man, father, husband, Bruno, mate, welcome to the show. Thank you for jumping on.
Thank you, James.
I love it.
Thank you for that introduction.
Mate, 25 plus years. How did that all start? Take me back.
1994 is when I started in real estate. So really it's more than 25 years. It's coming on to 30.
Coming to 30.
It's actually 30 years this year.
Wow.
Showing my age now.
Not bad for a 21-year-old.
Yes.
So what was that first episode like? What was that transition from what you were doing into the industry?
I was studying at the time to the import-export certificate.
Yep.
And I was one step away from being a licensed customs agent, which I didn't like.
Yep.
It was sitting behind a desk, looking at a tariff and trying to classify goods that were coming into the country to the right duty and sales tax. And for my mind, I couldn't sit still. And one of my friends said, "You'd be good in real estate." And so that's when the journey began in the real estate business.
Wow, mate. What a journey. What have you noticed as the biggest changes or shifts in the industry over the last 30 years?
The internet and the way we speak with people. So, if I look back at when I first started, we were more on let's go out and sign up any kind of property. Doesn't matter if it was overpriced, as long as we had a signboard.
Right.
And the reason behind that is back then, and look, buyers would do it now, but more so back then, a buyer would drive into an area that they want to live in and would drive up and down streets to see what kind of neighborhood they're sort of wanting to move in. And if you had a signboard in one of those streets, you would get an inquiry. So you didn't have the internet, you had signboards, your office, and the newspaper.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. Times have changed.
And there was no mobile phone numbers. That mobile was a luxury. And when we did get an inquiry, it was a home phone number. It wasn't a mobile number. Yep. So if I look back at the inquiry logs back in 1994, it was all the home phone numbers.
Love it.
If you look at it now, it's a mobile phone number.
1,000%, right? And the old like circular where you got to put your finger in, it goes back around, put your finger in again, goes back around. I remember that.
Yeah, prospecting is a challenge. prospecting back then was a challenge. You used to have the phone and you'd tape it to your head and you would dial a number and it would take a long time to connect.
Mm.
Mm.
So talk to me about as we fast forward to today, BC property agents. Talk to me about what you're doing. Talk to me about, because you've got a few which I want to go through in one of these different areas that you've got going on at the moment. But talk to me about BC property agents. How long have you? Because you've gone through different franchises, you've gone through different systems, and then it's like, no, I'm heading out and doing my own. How long have you had the banner for, and what are you offering at the moment? What are the services that you're offering at the moment?
So BC Property Agents and the company that we incorporated has been going on for 11 years.
Yep.
This is our 11th year. When we first started, and I think it was more out of fear when I first started, I approached a number of different franchises because I thought it was the franchise that made us a little bit more credible when we were talking to a new customer. And we had that franchise for 2 years. And we then, after the 2-year period, we cut ties with that franchise and BC Property Agents came about. So 9 years with BC Property Agents and 2 years with a franchise, even though it was the same company.
Yep.
I started just selling normal listings. So I would chase local and around Sydney. Then that evolved to, people tapping me on the shoulder and saying, hey, can you manage our property? So we created a property management department. And one of the things that I found early on prospecting for management is, even though some agents were doing a bad job, the clients were still loyal. So I thought, how do I then create a client to be in our property management? So I then started along the path of, okay, well, let's be a buyer's agent because we're legally qualified. We've got the skill. Let's be a buyer's agent. So that's when that inception happened. And the properties that we bought, if they weren't owner occupied, would come back into our own rent roll. So I created the buyer's agent stream of income, and then we created the property management stream of income.
Nice.
And then I recognized, as I was talking to a number of clients and prospects, that people were buying nationally. As Sydney became unaffordable, people were buying Central Coast, people were buying Hunter Valley, people were buying Newcastle, people were buying Queensland, people were buying Victoria.
Yep.
So we then said, okay, well, how can we spread our wings and our skill into nationally? So one of the first things we did is we became licensed in every state. I think there's only one place that we're not, but everywhere else we're licensed. And I traveled around the country, talking to developers, talking to builders, more wholesale builders and developers who develop the land and actually build the property as well. And we signed agreements with, 100 odd developers and builders. And they then started sending us stock lists of what they had on the market ready to sell. And these properties don't go on realestate.com or Domain. And so when we're talking to an investor, can you pause it? Someone's just walked in.
Yep.
Yeah, so then we started, when we were talking to our customer base and our prospects, that, if they wanted to purchase an investment property and they wanted to purchase it either in Queensland or Western Australia, that we had the solution and we had the right solution. And we're finding that that's more and more and more, because people have got a lot of equity in their property in Sydney and they do want to invest, but they don't want to invest in Sydney.
Wow. It's like a full suite, is servicing on all different aspects for
We
just for
are.
one person, which
We
is
we
amazing.
we we do have now the full solution. When you walk into our business, we can sell your property, we can rent your property, we can act for you if you want to purchase a property, and we can sell, any kind of property from a developer around the country to an investor.
Yeah. Wow. Fantastic.
And we can
And
help that investor make the choice, because we've got thousands of properties that are coming through,
yeah.
and we can narrow down where they should be buying, what they should be buying, what their budget is, all those things. So we're not loyal to one developer. We've got many on our books that we deal with.
And I think that's what makes you really different, is that because you've got so many, so it's more client-centric, not developer-centric,
Well,
where you're
absolutely.
stuck to
Yeah,
a developer.
absolutely.
It's like, yeah,
Yeah,
it's great.
we've got many clients that have built portfolios over the last 5 years through what we do. And it's quite exciting to see a client come from having only $90,000 in the bank to now having 6 properties.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Mm.
Fantastic. And you've launched another area of the business recently as well. What's that been?
Yeah, it is tacking on to, and look, we're always looking for a new, not new, but we're looking for the right investment for our client. And because last year interest rates went so high, positive yielding property, there was no longer positive yielding property, even with house and granny flat packages that they were producing 6 and 7%. Interest rates at that level now. And so we looked at, and we didn't just look at it last year. We've been on this train since 2018 and 17, which is NDIS.
Okay.
And the scheme and the legislation, which is the National Disability Insurance Scheme, that's been around since 2013. We were aware of it around that 2016, 2017, but we couldn't make it work because we didn't have, the right understanding and the right connection. And last year, that all came together for us with the right understanding, the right connection, and the yields that a customer can achieve on one of these properties are right up to 20%.
Wowza.
So if you're looking at it in monetary terms, you spend $1 million, you can get $200,000 in rent per annum from one of these properties.
So talk to me about what specifically is it? What specifically is the NDIS program or scheme? What through the government that they're running at the moment? If you were to,
yes, it's the National Disability Insurance Scheme,
Yep.
which is bigger than Medicare, and accommodation is just one single part of that.
Gotcha.
Okay, so someone with a disability will go to the government, which is the agency is called the NDIA, which is the National Disability Insurance Agency. They go, a person with disability goes to them and they create a care plan.
Right.
In that care plan could be doctors, could be going out to lunches, but it could be accommodation.
Right.
And so we're looking for the care plans with the accommodation. Okay. And so when we do have a client that wants to invest in property, well, they look at these kind of properties, which is SDA, which is specialty disability accommodation, which has to be specially built to get the high level income, right? So to get the high level income, they need to be specially built. Once that property specially built, depending on how many bedrooms there are, there's so many different variables and it is complicated. a person with disability that has accommodation in their care plan can enter one of these properties, and they create a lease, and it's their forever home,
Mhm.
and they might have a lease which could be 5 to 20 year lease,
Wow.
and the government guarantee the income, the rental, if that makes sense.
Yeah, total sense. That's great. So unpacking that, like, as there's a couple of different aspects. As an investor, like, that's having up to 20%. It's obviously a phenomenal return.
Yeah.
Why? I mean, so unpacking that, what you've been doing recently is been putting together education and information,
Yes.
because people go, oh, that whole hesitation and so forth. But what you've done in these information education events, it's really to unpack all those different
Yeah.
aspects of, as you said, all the variations. And well, this is a variation. So talk to me more
Absolutely.
about these education events that you're
Yeah.
putting on.
So the education events, a lot of the market's ignorant, and they don't know
Mm.
that these things exist, that the government will guarantee this kind of income.
Mm.
And when you do talk to someone like yourself or a client, that the biggest thing that I get is, it sounds too good to be true. Okay.
So
And
true,
in
right?
all my and really in all my time in real estate, and it's 30 years, I've never seen an investment quite like this, that outweighs NRAS. It outweighs the army, what do you call it? The army
Yeah.
rentals,
Accommodation. Yep. Yep.
army accommodation. This is massive. So what we've done is, okay, because it's so complicated, let's take it out on a higher level and let's educate the market. And so it starts off with, let's explain the legislation. Why did they do the legislation? And when they did the legislation. So the legislation is now 10 years old.
Yep.
Okay. So once people understand why they did the legislation, we look at what it costs the government prior to legislation, a hospital bed and a nursing home. Okay. Which
True.
is massive. That's a huge cost. So then they say, because of that cost, well, we want now to look at, how do we reduce that cost? That's what the government's saying. How do we reduce that cost? And does the government relinquish responsibility? Instead of taking on that responsibility, how do we relinquish that responsibility back to the private sector? That's why the legislation was created. So now you got the private sector, who are the property managers, which are the specialty disability accommodation providers. So they're the property managers who have all these people with disability. And then you have another sector called the SIL, which is the uh, specialty independent living, right?
Right.
Which they're the carers. So they're the people who care for these people. And then you have the investor who creates the property
Gotcha.
to house the people the with the disability. And it's all on the government website. So then we look at the demand, because that's on the government website as well. And we show in that education piece the demand. And then we also show the calculator and how the rental is calculated, which is a convoluted spreadsheet, but that's on the government website as well.
Got it.
So
Right.
everything that we show in our information sessions, it's come from all government websites.
It's public
We've
knowledge.
just
It's
pulled
already
out.
there. It's already out there.
It's already
Yeah.
out there. We've just pulled it together so it flows, and we can explain it in plain language and then give all the reference points so people can do their own research before they come back and say, hey, we would like to possibly move forward with one of these properties.
Fantastic. And how often are you running these education events, and when's the next one coming up?
Okay, so we've run two. We ran one in at near the end of December, or middle way near the end. We had over 150 odd people at the event. We ran another one in March. So together we've had over 250 odd people.
Wow.
We are now looking at running one every 6 weeks. We're just gearing it up now, our process, to make sure that we can get it out there every 6 weeks.
Fantastic. And where to find out more information around upcoming events, or should they just head over to your website, or is there anything
Yeah,
else that...
look at our website, send an inquiry. We are launching our webinar, so we're going to pre-record a webinar. So we're going to, hopefully that will be pre-recorded next week.
Yep.
And then people will have the choice to either listen to it on a webinar or come to a live session. And we're also got an information pack that we've got. So if people register on our information page, they'll get an information pack of what NDIS is, and as an introductory before we get to speak to them. So it's quite exciting for an investor.
Definitely.
That they can achieve anywhere in between $150,000 and $200,000 in rental income off a property that's worth possibly $1 million.
Incredible. Absolutely incredible. Wow. Okay. So for those listening, head over to bcpropertyagents.com.au to register your interest and find out a little bit more. It is exciting times because and that's the thing, as you mentioned, yes, there's the naivety out there. There's so good to be trues out there where you're just taking the information that's already out in there and explaining it in simple terms and taking people through that process and not complicating it, which is so good.
And there's a lot of cowboys out there.
Yes.
Okay. So, and this is something that happened yesterday. I've been looking for a company that can prospect for us and that can make some phone calls and to reach the people in our local area to invite them to these information sessions. Okay. So the person that we reached out to already had a meeting with one of these cowboys that said that they can do NDIS, but there was too many holes in the process. Okay.
Right.
So, and even with our own builders who say, yes, we can build an NDIS property, but when you dig and ask a few other questions, they don't have a certification process, right?
Yep.
Which is one of the most important things when you are building, because if the property is not certified through the government, you can't have it as a disability accommodation. And so you don't get the rent. So you've paid for a property that you may not be able to get money from.
Got it. And that's why you got to tick all the boxes.
Yeah. So there's a lot of, and not, look, we won't say cowboys, but there's a lot of pitfalls and there's a lot of mistakes you can make if you don't follow the right process in getting this done.
Yeah. Fantastic. Fantastic. So on the show, we have a little 60-second quiz to find out a little bit more about our guests. Are you willing to play?
Okay.
All right. So a bunch of questions.
I don't think I've got a choice.
No, you don't. Bunch of questions I'm going to ask you. Here we go. Favorite movie?
Warrior with Tom Hardy.
Cool. Favorite food?
Pasta.
Ooh. Favorite holiday destination?
Well, that's a good one because we never go to the same place twice. So I don't know.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Do you have a morning routine?
Yeah, but it's not for the public.
Okay, cool. What's your evening routine?
Well, normally it's get home, spend some time with my little one, have dinner, and then, if the football's on, or if I put it on Fox and just watch a little bit of the football, and then I'll fall asleep.
Nice, nice. If you could choose five inspirational people to have dinner with, who would they be? They could be dead or alive.
I reckon Muhammad Ali. I'd love
Mhm.
to sit down with Muhammad Ali. Um, I'd like to sit down with, um, and I don't even know his name, but I saw the movie, which was The Coach with the baseball. I can't even think of the name. He just never gave up,
Yep.
you know. Um, Maybe Abraham Lincoln would be a good person
Yep.
to sit down with.
Two more.
And I'd love to sit down with Donald Trump.
Cool.
I think he would be pretty awesome to sit down with. And who was and who was the richest guy in Australia? The who passed away? I can't even think of his name.
Kerry Packer.
Who did the Kerry Packer that did the one day cricket, right?
Yeah,
He,
Kerry
he
Packer.
invented one day cricket.
Yep.
I think he would have been great to sit down with
Oh,
and from.
phenomenal, phenomenal. If you were prime minister for the day, what's one thing that you would change?
The dole, I'd cut it off.
Okay.
No more social security. Get out there and work.
Okay. Do you have a best piece of advice?
Just wake up in the morning and work hard throughout the day and enjoy the fruits of your labor.
Beautiful, beautiful. And what other exciting things do you have coming up in the near future, in the next 12 to 24 months? Any other exciting projects that you're working on?
Staffing, yeah. So we're building a team, so that's pretty exciting. Which we know the right people in the team. Doing more of these information sessions and evenings and days. Creating more video content to educate the market, which I see that's not educated. So I think we need to really start on that education piece on this NDIS, um, uh, you know, way of investing.
Right, fantastic. And how else can the audience reach out, follow your journey, or get in touch with you?
They can buzz me on my phone, 0418 965 756. I repeat, 0418 965 756. Give me a buzz. If you've got any questions, that's fine. Always here to chat.
Fantastic. Bruno, really appreciate your time, expertise, and knowledge, and just unpacking the NDIS scheme with us, just to have that understanding of that there is these opportunities out there. It's just a matter of making sure you're going through the right process, and obviously teaming up with people like yourself to get this best return. So, mate, really appreciate your
No
time,
worries. Thank
your
you for
energy
having us on
today.
the show.